Hello, everyone, and many thanks for joining today's stream news summary from Moscow program. Happy Saturday, everybody. I hope you all will have a great weekend. And well, today is 25th of October. Now it's about 1 p.m. Moscow time. And as always, I have prepared quite a number of news on some major developments that Russian media is focused on. And hopefully you will find this update informative and useful. And if so, dear friends, please keep in mind that this project is completely subscriber funded. That is, this project exists only as long as I have your support, community support. And if you like my work, if you want to help bit to maintain this project, you're more than welcome to do so. You can support through PayPal platform, with donation through Boosty. Also, you can subscribe to my Patreon page or page on Boosty. That will be great support, of course, dear friends. And well, right now, at this point, there was a donation exactly on Boosty, by the way, and I will highlight this donation. The donation is from Alexander, and so after a new segment, I will react on all the comments or the questions that I might receive either through Boosty or PayPal or Super Chat on Rumble. I'm streaming on both my channels simultaneously, and because it's a weekend, dear friends, we can take our time, and after the stream, I will join community chat. Let's make big community chats on weekends, not just on a Sunday, but on Saturdays also. And if you have any questions, by the way, of course, it will be great if you will send your question through support platforms. But if not, just use capital letters so that I will spot easier that this question or comment is directed to me to highlight in a program. And so, yes, all the links under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. And of course, many thanks to everyone who keeps me in this field of news and political commentary for 3 years now, right? So thank you all. Okay, that's been said, let's go through some news now. And first of all, I give you an update on the work of Russian air defense systems past night and early this morning. We have RIA Novosti's report, which is based on Russian Defense Ministry's update that overnight air defense systems on duty intercepted 121 drones that were launched by Kiev regime with assistance of NATO to strike deep into Russian territory. I can give you some specifics. 20 drones were intercepted over the Rostov region, 19 over the Volgograd region, 17 in the Bryansk region, 12 in Kaluga, 11 in Smolensk, 9 each in Belgorod region, and also Moscow region. There was an attempt of NATO to strike Russian capital. 8 each in Voronezh and Leningrad regions. And when it comes to Leningrad regions, dear friends, I am quite sure those drones that are targeting Leningrad region or the St. Petersburg are launched from Baltic Chihuahua states, from one of those states, by the way, most likely from Estonia, but it could be Latvia or Lithuania. And I still don't understand why Moscow is not pointing this out. Maybe because Moscow, Russian leadership don't want to escalate militarily with NATO. But at one point, there will be no option but to react on this stuff. I don't believe drones that are targeting Leningrad region are launched from Kiev-controlled territory. I just don't believe in that even for a second. 2 drones were intercepted, each over the Novgorod, Ryazan, and Tambov region. 1 drone each in Tverskaya and Tula regions. Unfortunately, quite a vast geography of this NATO strikes on Russian Federation. And it is NATO strikes. You all understand, dear friends, that without NATO providing drones themselves and also satellite intelligence, navigation, flight path for these drones, no way Kiev regime would be able to conduct such attacks, right? So it is a NATO strikes, and well, maybe Moscow is not acknowledging this for now, official Moscow, but day comes when Moscow will say this is clearly NATO's act of war, and we have to react now and retaliate. And And once Russia will begin retaliating on these NATO countries that are directly engaged in this war against Russia, I think at that point we will get truly closer to de-escalation, because until NATO countries will feel the pain, by the way, they're not going to de-escalate. Why would they? Globally, it's not going to de-escalate. They don't feel pain, by the way. Russia can strike all day, every day on a Kiev-controlled territory in its retaliations. NATO don't feel pain on that, for that, right? It is necessary to strike on NATO countries, period, man. And I'm not talking about striking with nuclear weapons. No, just use conventional weapons and retaliate. You have every right to do so, for God's sake, because it's NATO that is striking you, right? Anyways, this morning, Mayor of Moscow stated that another 7 drones were intercepted that were targeting Russian capital, and emergency services are working on places where debris of these drones failed. Also, dear friends, Chief of the General Staff of the Russian Armed Forces, Valery Gerasimov, inspected the progress of the combat missions by the units of the SAND group of forces in Krasnoarmeysk or Pokrovsk direction. I shared video of he visiting headquarters there. You can check that video if you want to on my Telegram and Twitter X pages. And this is interesting. Yesterday, that was, isn't it, or day before, I reported that Russian defense minister. I cannot answer that right now. So I reported. I mean, is there a sound okay or? Дочь, звук там нормально вообще? Можешь проверить? I'm asking my daughter to check if sound is good. Hopefully it is, man. Oh, sound is great. Okay, dear friends, I will continue now. And so just yesterday or day before, I reported that Defense Minister of Russian Federation went to inspect a southern group of forces, right? And today we have, yes, thank you, dear friends. I can see your comments. Sound is good, so thank you. And so today we have a report about Gerasimov visiting SAND group of forces, and this definitely can be seen as an indicator. This definitely can be seen as an indicator that we should expect some significant activization of the Russian armed forces in all of these directions, southern sectors and central sectors, and that's exactly what is happening. Basically, Russian troops already are conducting operations to liberate Kherson, for example, and the Russian troops are about to finalize liberation of Pokrovsk, Mirnograd agglomeration, right? So some big news is about to be revealed in next several days, max a week or two. Some very important developments going to take place on the battlefield. It's going to be positive news for Russia. And when it comes to a special military operation, dear friends, of course, we are having on daily basis reports about progress of the Russian armed forces. And let me repeat news that I shared yesterday, for example, that Russian armed forces in past 24 to 48 hours liberated 4 settlements at least. So Russian troops have liberated Bologovka in the Kharkov region, Dronovka, and the Promin in Donetsk People's Republic, and Persho-Travnoe in the Dnipropetrovsk region. In total, for yesterday, 10 settlements have been liberated over the week. And this is by yesterday, by the way. Today and tomorrow, I'm quite sure more settlements will be liberated by Russian forces, and most likely the Defense Ministry will share additional information on that, of course. And today we also have a report exactly about that, more and more settlements being liberated. For example, military expert Andrei Morochko reported that Russian forces basically dislodged their enemy battle group from Novoselovka settlement in Donetsk People's Republic. So soon clearing operation will be finalized there, and one more settlement will be liberated there. Also, dear friends, Interesting news, I think, that worth our attention, that aid of Russian president in economical fields, Kirill Dmitriev, is in US now. He arrived in US yesterday, I believe, and he told the reporters that he's there under the US invitation, and we have reports that today he will have a meeting with a special envoy of US President Steve Witkoff. Yes, Steve Witkoff. Let's see what information will come out of this meeting. Dmitriev went to give quite a few interviews to Western or American so-called media. I saw some fragments, and it is good, basically, that American public will hear about Russian position directly from a representative of the Russian president. Quite a rare occasion when American society will have opportunity to hear the truth, right? They might be, shocked because of it, but nevertheless, it is important. But when it comes to this constant attempt of Moscow to build up some dialogue with the US, and Dmitriev, by the way, I can say, in my personal understanding, Kirill Dmitriev is a sort of a lobbyist, one of the leading figures when it comes to lobbying some, I don't want to say pro-American stance in the circle of the Russian president, but as far as I can tell, he's big-time supporter of good relationships to be built between Moscow and Washington, and I can understand where he's coming from, right? Where he's coming from. Of course, good working relationships between US and Russia would be beneficial, tremendously beneficial for peoples of both countries and the states themselves. But and I can understand also some additional interest that Moscow might have to continue these attempts to establish some working relationships with Washington, because everyone understands without US, globalists and globalist puppet regimes all over the Europe not going to last long, right, against Russia. They're not going to be able to prolong this proxy war more than a couple of months, maybe year max, right? But with US, they can prolong, globalists, neocons, and all the others, they can prolong this war against Russia for several years at least, right? As long as there is anybody to basically forcefully mobilize and to control territory and sacrifice, right? And as I said in some previous updates, Kiev regime, technically speaking, still can mobilize 1 million, 2 million people, younger age people, right? And throw them into trenches and sacrifice. So therefore, technically speaking, I can understand why Moscow tries to build the relationships with the US and somehow create a ground for US to withdraw from this proxy war. But this is not happening, man. It's not gonna happen. The idea is good. Idea is logical, understandable, yes. But what Putin and Dmitriev and all the others are missing, in my personal opinion, is that they think Trump and his administration are serious people or independent people, while they are not. And that's, I think, throws into being all the attempts of Moscow to normalize relationships with Washington. How many times Trump gonna flip-flop on a topic of Russia for Russian president to realize that, well, with these cycles, it is impossible to have a working relationships or any agreements, right? Maybe this visit of Dmitriev in Washington is last attempt of Putin to build some bridges with Washington. Well, might be the case because, after all, he should realize that it's not just him. Russia is not just Putin. Russia is 150 million people, right? And patience of the people, patience of everybody is running low now, right? Especially when we understand that we are not Burkina Faso, by the way. We don't do respect to Burkina Faso, but we are Russia. We are not Burkina Faso. And people are getting angry, by the way, that NATO countries are messing with Russia as if we are some sort of freaking, I don't know, third-grade country with no army, with no capabilities of anything. While we are not, man, we are superpower, nuclear superpower, right? Factually speaking. And I don't want to went too far in this speculation, but I think Putin is risking big time, man. Putin is risking big time while maintaining this restrained attitude, man. This is wrong. At this point, this is not just wrong, but counterproductive, and I can even use some stronger words, right? Because this restrained policy of the Russian president clearly invited on Russia much more trouble than we will face if Putin was not operating this softly in regards to Western elites, right? One should keep in mind, West understands only force, only language of force, and any diplomacy that you're gonna demonstrate or any restraint gonna be designated or interpreted by the Western elites as your weakness, and they will get emboldened by this, and they will escalate against you more and more and more and more, and eventually you will face much more trouble than if you were tough from the beginning. I think vast majority of our community will agree with me on that, and I'm quite sure vast majority of society here in Russia will agree with me too on that, right? I mean, we have to end this nonsensical restraint policies, man, and hopefully Putin is giving Washington last chance while sending Dmitriev on this diplomatic trip. If it works, works. If not, then you know what? Let's not waste no more time on this nonsense, right? I'm quite sure this is not going to work. This will not work, by the way. You cannot have a serious, meaningful dialogue or the agreements with the U.S. administration. You just cannot, right? And therefore, after this trip, hopefully, Russian president will finally untie the hands of Russian security services, Russian militaries, to do the job in a way they find it necessary. And they know how to deal with Russian enemies, 100%. And they have all the means. They have expertise and all the means to do the job. That's it, man, right? But today, okay, let's wait what's going to come out from this meeting of Vitkov and Dmitriev. Nothing serious, nothing interesting. Unfortunately, I'm not happy that I'm this pessimistic, but truth. That's the truth. That's how I see, right, the situation, and I'm truthful, by the way. I would be happy if I'm wrong, and we will actually see Washington taking some serious steps towards the escalation and pulling out U.S. from this proxy war and looking for ways to normalize the relationships with Russia. I would be happy to see this, right? But realistic approach is not allowing me to be optimistic, man. I don't see all that positive stuff happening. But anyways, let's wait and see. Meanwhile, Erdogan proposes hosting Russia-US summit in Turkey to discuss the ending of the Ukraine conflict. And you know what? Even though I have no respect for President of Turkey, and I don't think any of you have respect for him, for many reasons, right? Erdogan definitely cannot be trusted, but geographically, based on geography, just simple fact, based on geography, well, one might argue that yes, Turkey probably will be better place to have a meeting between Trump and Putin. If Trump is refusing principally to come to Russia, Turkey will be much safer place, let's say this way, than Hungary, because Russian president can fly to Turkey over the Black Sea directly, and Russian planes can escort. Russian fighter jets can escort a plane of the Russian president right to their point of Turkish airspace and maybe even beyond, right? It all depends on negotiations with the Turkish side. But yet again, if if you ask a majority of the Russian society, I think a majority will say, you know what, if Trump wants to talk, let him come to Russia, because Russian president already visited US. That was a gesture of a goodwill, right? And it is time for US now to do the same. And I'm on that page also. I don't think Russian president should travel anywhere to meet with Trump. Why? Why? Trump wants to talk, he can come to Russia. That's it, really. And I don't really think there is any point to talk to Trump anyways, right? It's completely useless, waste of time. Anyways, meanwhile, West continues to escalate with Russia. Dear friends, there is a meeting of coalition of willings in London. These criminal regimes of UK, France, Germany, and others are discussing what more can they do to harm Russia, to kill Russian citizens, right? And France come up with the idea that they will provide Kiev regime with Mirage fighters, Mirage fighter jets, and also some Aster missiles. British Prime Minister Stammer said that UK will also provide with additional weapons, including long-range missiles. Kiev regime, all these terrorist regimes, by the way, all over Europe, yet again, are doing whatever they can to prolong this war, right, and to harm Russia. And they will continue to do so. I mean, let's be real. They will continue to do so until we will begin retaliating right on their soil, right? They have to feel pain, by the way. I'm sorry to say, but until Western societies, for example, began feeling the pain, until Western elites began feeling the pain, they're not going to de-escalate nothing, right? Yet again, I'm sorry to say, but until German citizens are living their life, nicely, without worries about anything, right? Oh, they're not going to care that Germany is, their government is directly engaged in a war against Russia. But if German society will begin feeling the pain as a result of Russian countermeasures, well, then people might begin to wake up. Maybe even that would not help, right? To wake those people from this deep sleep, but it might, right? Same can be said about France. I have nothing against the people of France or Germany or UK, by the way, right? I never wanted this war to happen, right? But it's elites of these countries that were pushing for this war since the collapse of Soviet Union. And their countries are directly engaged in a war against Russia, and their countries, their political leadership, their militaries, intelligence services are directly guilty on death of tens of thousands of Russian citizens. So does Russia has a moral right to retaliate now and to bring the pain to these countries? Of course, we do have this moral right, and we should do so. We should do so. Because as long as they don't feel no pain, man, they're not going to react on nothing. They're not going to even think about what is going on and how many people being killed due to these reckless policies of the globalist and globalist controlled regimes all over the West, right? So it is what it is. More threats, by the way. Yesterday there was more threats from London towards Russia. Today gonna be even more threats, and okay, this is just daily stuff at this point, and I'm not gonna even go into details of those threats. I just don't care, man. I just don't care. Until we began retaliating and bringing pain to these countries, they will continue to kill us, man. They will continue the attempts to kill as many of us here in Russia as possible, right? And on this topic of Western escalation, by the way, and this propaganda of the Russia hate, ex-NATO commander come up with the claim that United Ireland could aid Russia and China somehow. which is quite strange, isn't it? Ireland is led by no any less Russia haters than UK is, right? But nevertheless, there are certain forces, of course, in UK that want to maintain occupation of their Northern Ireland. That should be part of Irish Republic, of course. UK has no right whatsoever to occupy Ireland. English people have no right. Let's be real here. Scotland, Welsh, and Ireland, Northern Ireland, are occupied by English people, right? Why? Who said that this is okay, man? And every attempt of the locals to gain independence from English rule is failing. And will continue to fail until they will take up arms, by the way, and fight for their independence against London, against London's rule. Right? And they should get all the help necessary in fight for freedom, obviously, by the way. But nevertheless, let me give you this news. Unfortunately, neither Russia, neither China, neither any of our allies are doing anything to support movement towards the independence in any of these nations, Welsh, Scotland, or Ireland. But we should help them, man, to gain independence. The potential unification of the Ireland would be a major blow to the West's security, as it could allow Russia and China to expand their reach in the North Atlantic. A former NATO commander has warned, speaking at their briefing for members of Parliament and the House of Lords on Wednesday. Retired British Rear Admiral Chris Perry argued that if UK were to lose its foothold in Northern Ireland, it would represent a major opportunity for Moscow and Beijing. How? Unfortunately, neither Moscow nor Beijing is supporting freedom fighters, either in Northern Ireland or in Scotland, right? Which is very unfortunate. Or in Welsh, by the way, which is very unfortunate. Clearly, those freedom fighters should have plenty of weapons on their hands to kill representatives of a terrorist regime in London, right? But we are not helping them, man. He noted that the waters between Northern Ireland and Scotland are essential for Britain's nuclear-armed submarines, describing it as critical to our strategic deterrent. With United Ireland, there is no guarantee we would deploy our ballistic missiles, Perry said. He also suggested that Irish unification would enable NATO adversaries to threaten critical undersea cables. UK needs to calibrate the threat to itself of the supine Republic of Ireland. My view is that the best way to help Ireland now is to increase NATO and allied activity in Ireland's economic zone waters, he said. And first of all, dear friends, only question I have in regards to nuclear capabilities of England that occupies, as I already said, Welsh, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, is that why they still have nuclear submarines after what they did in regards to Russian nuclear triad. Why England still has nuclear weapons? Why they still have these 4 Vanguard nuclear submarines, man? Why nothing happened to those submarines? I mean, that's the only question I have at this point, right? Otherwise, I just don't give a damn about what London thinks about anything, right? But we should address this issue. UK or England, let's say, should be demilitarized, denuclearized for sure, right? As soon as possible. And same should be done in regards to France. These terrorist regimes in UK or in England and France cannot be trusted with such extreme weapons as nuclear weapons are, right? And hopefully, when Russia will retaliate, this retaliation will be in a force and the scale that will actually demilitarize and denuclearize France and UK. I hope so. It only takes 30 minutes, literally, by the way. It only takes 30 minutes, and neither UK, neither France have nuclear assets. That's it, man. 30 minutes, all it takes, man, to denuclearize and quite effectively demilitarize England and France. They might think that they are some power, that everyone should pay attention to them. But in my personal view, they are just freaking chihuahuas, man, right? And we can do like that and take them out. Their nuclear capabilities, that is, right? Which will mean they are quite effectively demilitarized, because when it comes to their army, I mean, it's a joke, right? French army, British or English army, man. It's a freaking joke, man. We will eat them, at breakfast. That's all, right? So yes, I mean, Irish people should wake up, really, in Northern Ireland and in Ireland, and should fight more for reunification. And I think if Moscow is not willing to support freedom fighters in Northern Ireland, in Scotland, in Welsh, then PMCs, Russian PMCs at least, should help them, man, right? With the manpower, with weapons, with everything, because it's a just cause, man. It's a just cause, just fight for independence, right? And there's Scotland, Welsh, and Northern Ireland. All of them should gain independence, freedom from London's rule, right? Am I correct? I am correct, of course. That's it. And and by the way, this statement of this rear admiral maybe is an indicator that English aristocracy that is occupying entire Ireland there, and even Ireland, parts of Ireland, they are afraid. They are afraid that, these freedom fighters might actually become a thing and do some serious stuff. Hopefully, that is going to be their case, right? Hopefully. Anyways, let's continue. TASS News Agency is reporting that Trump stated that he's traveling now to South Korea, towards the global south, basically, to participate in ASEAN summit, and he stated that he will have a meeting with the Xi Jinping, Chinese leader, and they will discuss a Ukrainian crisis too. Okay, let him discuss. It's a wet dream of American ruling class, isn't it? And the globalists too, by the way. It's a wet dream of globalists and neocons to divide China and Russia, to bring some divisions, right? They are succeeding in terms of dividing or bringing some divisions between Russia and India, unfortunately. I mean, seems like they are succeeding in that, and India will turn its back on Russia, which is unfortunate, but yeah. India is in weaker position. We understand that. India is not as strong as China is, and New Delhi seems like cannot withstand the pressure, and soon they will officially bow down to their Anglo-Saxon masters, right? But China is very different. And I don't think globalists or neocons will be able to actually generate some divisions between Russia and China in such a scale that this will destroy strategical partnership that two countries have, right? They might create some issues, but I don't think they will succeed in destroying relationships between Moscow and Kiev, and Trump will learn that hard way soon. Even if that meeting will happen with Xi Jinping, by the way. And I think Xi Jinping not going to be as polite as Russian president is. He will put Trump in his place straight away. Because why not, right? Russian president can do it also, but yet again, he is just too polite. Okay, what can I do about it, man? I don't like this, but that's his attitude. And Peskov even was asked about it, by the way. And Peskov, press spokesman of the Russian president, said that, well, this is how Putin operates. He's always polite to all the leaders of the other countries, even towards towards those that may not be in in a position to deserve such a polite attitude, right? I'm interpreting now words of Peskov, but yes, I mean this is true. That's how Putin operates, unfortunately, and I don't think this is helping Russia in any way, shape, or form. It's going to be better if you are direct, you know. Just be more direct, by the way. If you respect someone, say so. If you don't, then, you know, either don't say nothing or at least don't be polite, man, right? That's how life works, isn't it? If we don't like someone, we are not extremely polite to those someones, right? And if we are not necessarily smashing their freaking faces for whatever reasons, at least we are not polite, not playing no games in life. Am I correct? And same policy too should be, you know, adopted by Russian leadership. If you actually respect someone, okay, man. But I don't believe even for a second that Putin has any respect to Trump or to anybody from his freaking administration. I mean, how you can support these maniacs, man? And same can be said about leadership of European countries. How anyone can have any respect for those maniacs, literally genocidal maniacs and mass murderers, criminals, man. And this is not just a word. I'm saying factual stuff, right? Those people are guilty in death of tens of thousands of people, literally. That's it, man. So yes, Xi Jinping will put this individual into his place, I think, very soon, if meeting between him and Trump even takes place, because I mean, China is in a stronger position. Why should Xi Jinping waste time really talking to Trump? I mean, what for? I mean, what they gonna discuss really? Why Xi Jinping should put him place in a situation that Russian president end up, for example, during Anchorage summit or after, when everyone is asking question, you know, why Putin wasted the time? So Xi Jinping might actually refuse to have a meeting with this nobody that Trump is, right? Meanwhile, as I mentioned yesterday, Rubio is in Israel still, and he was asked to comment about this, you know, voting in the Knesset, Israeli parliament, to occupy West Bank, and he went to, you know, downgrade again this development, saying that this is, you know, nothing, and U.S. will not allow Israel to occupy West Bank. He's total embarrassment, isn't it? This creature, embarrassment for U.S., embarrassment for humanity, and that's it. By the way, U.S. Continues to U.S. officials, high-ranking officials, continue to personally be engaged in deception operations that Israeli Secret Services and U.S. Secret Services are conducting. Rubio is not the only one. Trump is engaged in this deception, and J.D. Vance is engaged in this deception when they are trying to downgrade this and make it like it's nothing. When Israeli regime is openly saying that they're going to go and now completely, you know, dismantle any autonomy that West Bank might still have, partially at least, like in some areas. Even though significant part of West Bank is already factually occupied, right, taken from the local Palestinians by these settlers, right, that have no reason to be there. These are freaking settlers that have no roots in the Middle East, nothing. They are not related with the Middle East or original Jewish tribes in any way, shape, or form, right? These are Indo-Europeans that betray their religion, Christianity, right? Mainly, right? Christianity, and turn to Judaism. And then now these creatures are claiming that they have historical rights on Palestinian land, man. These creatures from New York, or from former Soviet republics, or from Poland, or from, you know, other European countries. They are not Semites, man. They have nothing to do with the Middle East. But anyways, no, fuck him all. Sorry for my French, but just fuck him all. There can be no respect towards genocidal maniacs and the mass murderers, and that's what majority of Israelis are, man. True, they are all fascists. Majority of them are fascists and should be denazified. And Israel, this fascist entity, should be demilitarized or wiped out of the map whatsoever, because I don't see any reason why this fascist state has to exist, man. Who says that Israel has any rights to exist while being this fascist entity? What the hell, man? They have no right to anything, those fascists, man, right? To continue, well, Trump is about to start war with Venezuela, isn't it? And they are deploying aircraft carrier now. I said from the beginning of build up of this carrier strike group in Caribbean that it's only a matter of time, and the Pentagon will bring aircraft carrier in place, and that's exactly what they did. Gerald Ford carrier strike group is being basically deployed to Southern Command's area of responsibility in Central and South America, allegedly to combat drug trafficking. Pentagon reports what this carrier gonna do, aircraft carrier gonna do, man. Hunt down these freaking fishing boats. What they gonna do, and why there is no protests in the US, mass protests to stop this build-up for that Washington is engaged to start a war against Venezuela? Where is the demonstrations for peace and demands that we don't want no war with Venezuela and that kind of stuff? There is nothing, isn't it? Literally, I mean, no one cares. As I said, until you bring pain to these people, man, they're not gonna care how many thousands and thousands of people in other countries are dying because of the criminal actions of their governments. Western society is not gonna care, man, whatsoever, in its majority. Informed minority will have a care, right? Okay, informed minority, but they have no influence on anything. But majority, until they don't feel no pain, they would not care, man, right? It is what it is, and we have to bring the pain to them. We have to bring the pain to them, man, every way possible. This is the only way to wake them up. Sorry to say, but this is the only way to wake them up, right? And if Venezuelan people will decide that they are going to fight against invaders, against U.S. empire, okay, they should get all the support from everyone, right? That is sick and tired of criminal activity of their collective West. They should get all the support, weapons, intelligence, manpower, everything, right? To defend themselves as effectively as possible. And even though I'm not sure Moscow will provide them with any assistance, but they are private companies, isn't it? Private military companies. Hopefully they will. Hopefully they will. Wagnerites can go into Venezuela and train locals, and they can revenge for their comrades that Americans killed in Syria. I don't think they or anyone else here in Russia forget about 200 fighters of Wagner's, around 200 Wagner fighters that was killed by Americans in Syria, about. And their lives should be revenge, right? And well, U.S. is planning to attack not just Venezuela but Colombia. Colombia is also on the list, obviously, and U.S. imposed sanctions on Colombian president and calls him a drug dealer. U.S., by the way, #1 drug dealer in this world. And CIA, by the way, number one drug dealer in this world, is calling Colombian president drug dealer. Fuck's sake, man. What, this world is wrong in so many ways, isn't it? Sometimes one might question, is this really happening? I mean, what the hell is wrong with this freaking matrix? Because this is just too much, man. Too much of a nonsense that world is putting up with, you know? So US has imposed sweeping sanctions on Colombian President Gustavo Petro, his family, and their senior minister, accusing him of allowing drug cartels to flourish and traffic narcotics to North America. Petro rejected the accusations, saying his administration has made record progress in seizing drugs and dismantling criminal networks. And best what Petro can do, or Colombian leadership and Colombian people, is to get together with Venezuela. I know they have very difficult relationships, but they should united under this threat, incoming threat from US, collective West, NATO, and they should do whatever they can together with other countries in Latin America to defend themselves effectively, because one by one they are not really that much of a force against US, right? Although I don't think US is actually capable to enslave any of these peoples, right? Either in Colombia or in Venezuela, if people will fight. But nevertheless, together, they're going to be much more formidable force, right? And hopefully, Colombia, Venezuela, Brazil, Bolivia, Peru, all of them, by the way, will get together, right, and fight together against U.S. imperialism, against Anglo-Saxon imperialism, basically, because in the Western world, by the way, we know it, isn't it? Dominant force is Anglo-Saxon elites. That's how it is, man, right? It's Anglo-Saxon elites that are in control of Western world and dominant force in the Western world. And this is fact of life for the last 3 to 5 centuries, basically. Once Spain and France failed as empires, since then, Anglo-Saxon elites become clearly a dominant force, right? And this process, I mean, last time continental Europe tried to fight Anglo-Saxon elites was Napoleon, right? And he was crushed, by the way. He was crushed because he made a fundamental mistake attacking Russia. If he didn't attack Russia, by the way, he could actually succeed liberating Europe from Anglo-Saxon influence, but he failed. He failed, by the way. He attacked Russia. This freaking moron, man. Attacked Russia. Гребаное животное, right? And that was a death sentence for himself. So yeah, that's it, man. Hopefully these people will get united in Latin America and fight together. These criminals from US or UK or whatever, from the collective West, right? And they should get all the support that is necessary. And meanwhile, Argentina might join them soon, by the way, these countries and peoples that are fighting for independence from Anglo-Saxon rule. And Argentina might join because despite all the attempts of US to keep Milei in power, Milei or whatever their freaking name is of that clown in Argentina, economical situation is deteriorating tremendously in the country, right? Tremendously. And US already, according to some reports, US already spent $40 billion, by the way, to stabilize the situation. US is bailing out this criminal regime in Argentina, by the way. Can you imagine that? While ordinary people in US are struggling, many, I mean, not all, obviously, but many, very many millions of Americans are struggling with day-to-day life. US criminal regime this fascist regime in Washington is spending billions and billions, tens of billions actually, on Argentina to bail out this criminal regime of Milei. And they are failing anyways, right? And we have this report that investment into the Argentinian peso by the US Treasury sector is called Besant soars past 1 billion this month alone. And nevertheless, Argentinian peso continues to drop in its value. US cannot, no matter how many billions they are investing in the peso, they cannot stabilize this even currency, man. They cannot even stabilize the currency. What they're gonna do with the freaking economy there in Argentina? Nothing, right? But I wonder if American people know even that their money, taxpayers' money, being was wasted this way by Washington to stabilize freaking currency in other country, man. That is not even bordering the US. To somehow justify that, all these countries bordering us, and we have to have a stability there, otherwise, we might have some issues. No, Argentina is not bordering the US, man. It's on end tip of South America, right? Anyways, what else? Japan has announced its intention to conclude a peace treaty with Russia. As I reported earlier, Japan has new prime minister, female, first time in Japanese history. They have a female prime minister, Senai Takashi. And she stated while speaking to the diet or whatever, that Tokyo plans to conclude a peace treaty with Moscow. Her speech was broadcasted on the lower house's website there. Relations with Russia are currently in a difficult situation, but the Japanese government's policy is to resolve the territorial issue, she said. Okay, by the way, there is no territorial issue between Russia and Japan. And if sooner Tokyo will realize that there is no territorial issue, Kuril Islands are Russian territory, period. There is no but after that, period. Kuril Islands are Russian territories, and Japanese people should be very grateful to Russian people that they still have a Hokkaido or whatever the freaking name is of that big island, right, on the north. They still have that, right? Stalin was very generous to Japanese people, man, and they should not forget about it. That will be good, by the way. These ungrateful motherfuckers, man, these ungrateful bastards should realize that, they could be in much worse situation if not her tremendous kindness of the Russian people and the leadership of Russia, right? So sick and tired, man. So sick and tired when I see this freaking nonsense, man. How long are we gonna tolerate this shit, man? So yeah, I mean, maybe this person, I don't know who she is, or I don't really care, but if she actually wants to normalize relationships with Russia, then in that case, she have to fight for independence of Japan first. And this only might happen if Japan will get rid of American occupying forces. Until Japan will get rid of this occupying force from US, there is no point for Moscow to be even engaged in any talks with Tokyo, right? Because they are slaves of Anglo-Saxons. So what is the point to talk to them? If we want to know what is the position of London or the Washington on any issue in regards to Japan, we can talk to Washington and London. Why should we waste time talking to Japanese themselves? They are slaves of Anglo-Saxons, right? Right now. True. Facts, by the way, right? If they will get rid of occupying force, if they will become independent truly and sovereign nation, then okay, in that case, let's have a talk, man. Let's have a talk. But before that, it's pure waste of time, man. Also, Belgium Minister of Defense and Foreign Trade, Theo Franchen, stated that he has no doubts about Russia's harsh response to the theft of its assets. We have quote here: Putin will never give up these billions. He will see this as an act of war and will deliver a serious blow to Belgium. It will be painful, very painful, and possibly as a retaliatory measure, he will confiscate 200 billion of Western, $200 billion, he meant, I guess, or euros, whatever, of Western assets located in Russia. This will not only be Belgian funds, but also money from major countries such as US, Germany, and France. I mean, since when Germany and France are some major countries, man? What are you talking about? This person needs some history lessons, clearly. But Germany and France, freaking chihuahuas, man. What are you talking about? US, okay, still some power, but, give it a decade or two, and we will see. Let's talk about US then, right? If American people not wake up and don't make no changes in their political system, economical system, in 2 decades' time, there might be no US on political map whatsoever. Very much possible, right? And on other topics, yes, this person, Belgium's Minister of Defense and Foreign Trade, has a point. Russia should and probably will retaliate if Russian assets being stolen, and okay, good, just go ahead and steal it, man, and then we will see what Moscow gonna do. What is the point to speculate on the matter? Maybe we will retaliate. Maybe we will say thank you for stealing our assets. Who knows? Just go ahead, steal Russian assets, then find out. That's it. But, we should acknowledge that the government of Belgium is at least trying to bring some sense to globalist and globalist control puppet regimes around in Europe, while saying that, this will harm all of us, right? We can steal these Russian assets, yes, but all the other investors, by the way, gonna be shocked by this, right? And they're gonna pull out their investments, and eventually we will all lose much bigger than these 200 billion or whatever frozen Russians are. But it does not work, seems like. Belgium leadership is failing to bring some sense into those morons that are in charge of other EU countries, right? So, okay. Okay, let them steal, man, and then we will see what will Moscow do. Promises here, promises there that there will be tough response from Russia, right? Not just on the stealing of Russian assets, but also on EU sanctions, 19th package of sanctions that was adopted by EU like a day before yesterday or something. And yet again, let's wait and see what's going to happen. Moscow will respond to their latest round of EU sanctions with effective and tough measures. This was stated by Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova in connection with the European Union's adoption of a 19th round of anti-Russian sanctions. And okay, that's all. Strong response, tough response. Okay, let's see what this tough response is going to be. I have no freaking idea what Moscow's plans are. Maybe Moscow will say thanks. Really. Russian president loves to exercise these restraint policies, and therefore, all these strong statements that we hear from high-ranking officials don't really make no sense or any sense at this point, really. To me personally, right? I don't really want to hear any more strong statements because usually actions are not following these statements. So either don't say nothing, or if you're gonna say something, then then act on your words, right? Anyways, dear friends, RT is reporting the top Indian buyer of Russian oil weighs in on Western sanctions. So yes, India's top oil refiner, Reliance Industries, is reviewing the impact of Western sanctions on its Russian suppliers and will adjust operations accordingly while maintaining domestic energy security, the company has said. Statement seen by RT on Friday follows earlier media reports that buyers in South Asian nation might halt imports of Russian crude following latest US, EU, and UK sanctions on oil majors Rosneft and Lukoil. Western countries have reportedly targeted Moscow with sanctions over the Ukraine conflict. On Wednesday, Washington joined Brussels and London in announcing additional measures targeting the two Russian oil majors. Reliance, Indian company, which has a 10-year deal to buy nearly 500,000 barrels of crude per day from Rosneft, has reportedly been India's largest importer of Russian oil this year by volume. Rosneft also holds 49% of stake in Nauar Energy, which operates the Vadinar refinery in the western state of Gujarat. Reliance said it is currently assessing the implications, including the new compliance requirements both for its crude imports and the refined products exports to Europe. The company added that it would follow any guidance from the Indian government to stay aligned with their country's energy security goals. The refiner said it would adjust operations to meet new regulations and manage changing market conditions while maintaining the relationships with its suppliers. Yeah, of course. Reuters earlier reported that Reliance and other Indian refiners were reviewing their Russian oil supply contacts to ensure no barrels were sourced directly from Rosneft or Lukoil after the latest sanctions took effect. And as I said, India is turning back on Russia, seems like. Well, even though we understand that New Delhi is experiencing significant pressure and maybe in a weaker position than China is, for example, but nevertheless, man, to bow down to Anglo-Saxon masters, that's quite something, man. Come on, India, you can do better than that. Why you need a life or anything if you're gonna bow down to people that enslaved you, man? Why you need a freaking life then? And now don't you have a self-respect, for God's sake? Fight and die fighting. But don't bow down to nobody, man. Anyways, man, I like India, man. I see India as a strategical partner for Russia. That's how things supposed to be. But if India cannot stand its ground, then what can we do about it? I mean, nothing, right? Moscow was always very supportive of New Delhi, always, historically speaking, especially in crucial points of history. But that's history, by the way. It is what it is, man. It is unfortunate. That seems like yet again maybe Modi and his government finally eventually will say that, you know what, fuck it, we're not gonna bow down to nobody and bring it on. Maybe that's what they're gonna do, and I will respect that. It's gonna be hard, man. It's gonna be hard, tough. But BRICS member states in that case should stand with India and support it every way possible. But if Indian government will bow down to their former masters, well, I don't think we can do anything about it or help them in that case. It's their life, man. It's their life, their choices. But I feel sorry. I'm not even angry, by the way, because I do understand they are under heavy pressure. I'm not even angry, and I don't call on India that they are betraying Russia. No, they first of all have to think about themselves, obviously, their interests, but in the long run, by the way, if you have no self-respect, man, and if you're showcasing yourself as a country that bow down to Anglo-Saxon elites or anytime they will demand it, then how are you gonna stand strong, man? Either now or in 20 years from now. It's a principle, it's a point of principles, right? Stand strong and die fighting. This is the only way you will get respect from everybody, right? And this is the way how you can secure your sovereignty. And no one will ever dare to attempt even to force you into submission, I think, right? But yet again, it's meanwhile in US shutdown continues, dear friends, and probably you have seen, dear friends, already realized that I am a little more casual today in my live stream than usually, because it's a Saturday, isn't it? And I already said in the beginning that after the news segment I will join community chat. Let's do on Saturdays and Sundays. Let's have a community chat mainly, right? News segment, okay, but let's just have a talk, man. And so shutdown continues in US for like 24 days now. And according to reports, every week this shutdown costs US 0.10% of GDP. $15 billion US is losing daily. I saw some reports earlier, by the way, that every single day of this shutdown costs American economy $15 billion. And it seems like sides are no way closer today than they were 24 days ago to resolution. And the shutdown may last for another 24 days. Who knows, man? Right? What they are thinking, but they are beginning to harm U.S. economy because 0.10 of the percent, by the way, of GDP is quite a lot, man. Right? For a week. They will continue this shutdown for another 24 to 48 days, and U.S. GDP will lose more than 1%, right? Which is massive, by the way. But yes, for now, they are nowhere close to resolve the issue. RIA Novosti is reporting that, Central Bank of Russian Federation dropped interest rate for 0.5% yesterday. Not much, really. Probably very many people were expecting that central bank would drop interest rate for at least 1 percentage point, but this did not happen. And because this is because of it, Russian ruble even gets stronger, man. Probably expectations was that interest rates will drop higher than this, and it did not happen. And Russian ruble, despite all these sanctions on Russian oil majors, energy majors, and despite the drop in interest rate of central bank, ruble is getting stronger, right? Which is crazy, man. Economical bloc is struggling to weaken the ruble. They need to weaken the ruble somehow, right? Because weaker ruble means more income for Russian federal budget and more profits for Russian major exporter companies that paying huge volumes of taxes, right? But seems like central bank and economical bloc in general is struggling to make ruble weaker. They can't do it, man. And this is, I think this is because high demand on ruble, because Russia is significant volume of Russian trade now. Russian exports are done in rubles, right? In Chinese yuans and also in rubles. And I guess this demand on rubles is on such a high level that even these additional sanctions on Russian energy sector, and the drop of interest rates is not enough to weaken the currency. I don't even know what central bank gonna do, man, to to make ruble a little weaker. Current exchange rate. Let me give you numbers, by the way, what current exchange rate is. Where is there? It's $80.97 for 1 ruble, by the way, right? Like a week ago, it was like 83 or something, 84. And the Russian economy, if I understand correctly, all the reports from different media that are based on experts or lobbyists of the exporter companies, they want to see exchange rate to be 100, 110 rubles for a dollar at least, ideally 130 rubles for a dollar. But this is not happening, man. Central bank and economical bloc cannot weaken the ruble. And I think they are trying, by the way. I think they are trying. What else, man? What else? Germany protests Chinese chip blockade, according to Builder. The ban hits Berlin's auto and the tech sectors. And, well, there is no Chinese specific ban on supplying anything to Germany, by the way. China is not happy because Netherlands recently just nationalized, basically, Chinese company, right? They still Chinese company, by the way. And China said, you know what? You want to play this way? Okay, let me teach you hard way then. And that's what they do. That's what they do. Some countermeasures are being taken, right? And economies all over the Europe are beginning to feel the heat now. Germany, first of all, because reports are that German car manufacturers and IT companies are already struggling big time. And the reports are that Volkswagen, by the way, for example, is unable to begin manufacturing new models of the cars. And for next year, Volkswagen is needed 11 billion euros just to stay operational. So Volkswagen is quite effectively dead, man. One of the giants, right, in German car manufacturing. And this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning, man. As I said many times before, give it 20, 30 years, man. And European part of Eurasian continent gonna be some loosely relevant or completely irrelevant part, right? That no one cares, man. That's the destiny of the Europe. And if you live in Europe, migrate, man. Just run away. If you live in Europe, just run away, man. Until you can, until your assets have any value, right? Because in 10, 15, 20 years time, those assets, by the way, will have no value whatsoever. Pennies maybe from its current value. Go to New Zealand. I'm not saying necessarily come to Russia. No, go to New Zealand, man. It's a nice weather there, nice place. It's wonderful nature in New Zealand, isn't it? Absolutely wonderful. I have seen, some videos and stuff, and it's wonderful there. But anyways, when it comes to China, by the way, another blow for Berlin is coming from China. German foreign minister has postponed his trip to China because Beijing was not interested. Chinese foreign minister was planning to go to China with huge delegation of businessmen and these groups and that groups of interests and stuff. And Beijing only agreed for a meeting of Chinese foreign minister with German foreign minister with Chinese counterpart 1 year, right? And that's it. Beijing literally has no interest to negotiate with Germany anything whatsoever. They are not interested, right? And therefore, and while Berlin was hoping that there will be some meetings between German businesses and the Chinese businesses, German businesses and officials and some other departments in China, but no, Beijing said no, man, we are not interested. You are sending your foreign minister, okay? Our foreign minister will talk to him for like 5-10 minutes, right? We will, he will say hello, how are you, and all that kind of stuff, right? But when it comes to business, we have nothing to talk about. Just get lost. That's a Chinese attitude, by the way, which is quite refreshing, isn't it? Quite refreshing. Unfortunately, Russia is not acting this tough for now, at least, towards these globalist controlled puppet regimes in the West. But China does, man. Right? As I said, Xi Jinping and other Chinese leaders, they are not messing around. They simply don't care, man. Right? They are not interested in excessive politeness as Russian leadership is. And I'm not saying excessive politeness is necessarily bad or good, but it's different. It's different, and Chinese have a different approach. No excessive politeness, no nothing, just get lost, right? That's it. Nicely said. I'm quite sure Chinese side says very nicely, very politely, just get lost, man. Not interested. That's it. And so yeah, okay, that's about it for today's this very casual news segment. Hopefully you did liked it, find it informative. Hopefully you did learn some news from this update that you have not heard from other channels. And if so, dear friends, please like the video. Please like the video and leave some commentary, especially if you are watching this video after live stream ends. More likes and comments might help to deal with their algorithm and help a little bit, right? So I guess there was no super chat, right? There was no super chat, by the way, on Rumble, so therefore I will highlight commentary from I will highlight now comment from Boosty, if I may, and then I will go through chat, dear friends, and as always, I will react on a couple of. I will be engaged in chat. So new segment is finished, dear friends. If you were here just for news, it's finished. Later on, maybe I will check some media outlets for potential breaking news, just to make sure that we are not missing nothing. We have right now a report, for example, that on the south of Pokrovsk, defense lines of Kiev regime's forces completely collapsed. There was some small part of Pokrovsk on the southern side of railway where Kiev regime was still maintaining some positions, and I guess that's the area that this report is about. So good news there. Pokrovsk, I mean, give it another week. Probably entire Pokrovsk will be fully liberated, and maybe even Mirnograd, by the way, town next to it. And now let me highlight, dear friends, this. Anya is not here, so I have to deal with these screenshots myself now. And I did make the screenshot. Where is the freaking gallery, man? Дочь, а где галерея? Здесь, в телефоне. Ты можешь, вот последний скриншот, там бусти-мусти что. Да, вот это можешь скинуть мне в группу? Или просто скинь мне это самое. Куда-нибудь, я скопирую. Sorry, dear friends, some technical stuff. I'm working alone, as you can understand, on these whole technical features. Anya, my wife, helps me quite often with the screenshots and stuff, but she's not here right now, and so. Не, мне надо было скинуть.
Это же твой телефон.
Какой? Тут. Вот увидел. Окей. Вот, спасибо. So, let's copy this. Это галерея. Ага, спасибо. Так, what we are doing? Okay, I did copied it. And if I may, I will highlight now this donation and the message on the Boosty from Alexander. Oh, wait. Sorry, dear friends. I know it's taking too much time. Okay, I guess. Shit, man. My apologies, dear friends. You see, it's okay. Let's do it. Okay, now let me react on this donation from Alexander. Thank you very much, Alexander, for your donation on the Boosty and commentary. So let me read it now. Finally, seems like Putin give up causing up to Trump. Thanks God for that. All their negotiations did was given NATO an excuse to escalate when the folks failed to pursue Putin to do a ceasefire. This is a comment from Alexander, and thank you very much, Alexander, for $10 donation, first of all, and for your commentary, and well, I'm on a sort of same page. Hopefully, after this visit of Kirill Dmitriev to Washington, which is going to be, just yet another useless trip, right? Hopefully, after that, Russian president will stop wasting time on these attempts to reach out to Washington actually, and to persuade Washington to pull out US from this proxy war against Russia, because it's not working. Idea is good, as I said, man. Idea itself is good, of course, but what you're gonna do when US current elites are not and their policies are not based on national interests of the US or the strategical interests of the US people? US administration is basically controlled by all sorts of groups of interests, isn't it? Or neocons, military industrial complex, or deep state on one side, or globalists on the other side, or Zionists on third side, while actual US citizens, US community is completely ignored, right? So what you gonna do about it when this is the factual? How many times you're gonna try to talk some sense to Trump? It would not work, because he is not independent actor. He is just a talking head, right, of these groups of influence, these groups of interests, and that's it. And this will not change, by the way, until American people will wake up and do some, and do revolution. Basically, that's what they're gonna do, man. They need revolution, right? Through revolution, they have to destroy current system that they have, which is corrupt system, and serves specifically that groups of influence, right? Not the people. So until society will wake up in US and do revolution and build up a republic from the scratch, and until those people will allow actual decent human beings to be representatives of US, to be leaders, right? Until then, no matter how much and how hard you're going to try to reach out to Washington, you will fail. You will just simply fail, right? It's a total waste of time to have any talks with Washington currently. I mean, and same can be said about all the other countries in the West, man. States or quasi-states or whatever, right? This is my take, and my hope really is that Putin will stop wasting time on these attempts, because it would not work. Idea is good, of course. Russia and US have a great potential, by the way, great potential to be extremely successful if sides will manage to have a good working relationships. But unfortunately, this is not happening, man. As Trump loves to say, and his administration, his representatives, it takes two to tango, right? And no matter how much Moscow would like to have a good relationship, working relationship with Washington, this is not enough. So why we are wasting time, man? Really, I don't know. And unfortunately, I'm afraid this constant restraint policy that Moscow is demonstrating is actually inviting upon us more and more trouble from the West, because they think they can do anything. They can escalate on any level, do anything, and they will pay no price for that, right? They don't see this diplomatic attitude from Russia or restraint policy as attempt of Moscow to avoid some dramatic escalation, or to call basically Western elites to calm down. Let's don't escalate, man. This is too dangerous. No, they don't see it like that. They see it as a weakness, and they are openly, by the way. How many times you have heard in the Western media, for example, that Putin is bluffing? Russians are bluffing. All these strong statements means nothing. How many times you have heard this in the West, especially? Maybe every day even, right? maybe even every day. That's their attitude, by the way. They don't believe Russia will do anything, Russian leadership will do anything, right? And this has to change. This has to change. And hopefully, this yesterday's statement of Russian president, yesterday's or day before yesterday, that was when he said that in case of a long range strike on Russia, Moscow will retaliate and retaliate overwhelmingly. Hopefully, he was serious about this statement, right? According to some reports, he was talking about Tomahawk missiles. And in that case, I am losing understanding of that statement. I mean, already we knew that Tomahawks not going to be deployed against Russia, at least not for now. But I saw some reports on media, by the way, that Putin was actually talking about long-range missile strikes in general. But even in case of Tomahawks, one should keep in mind that one thing is what Washington says, isn't it? And another is what is reality. And maybe in reality, they already sent those Tomahawk missiles and the Russian side knows it. And Putin was just sending a message that, you know what, we know what you are planning. We know you have deployed these weapons and that weapons, right? And you go ahead with the next phase of escalation, we will strike back and hard. Maybe that was their message, right? We don't know full picture, but until we will begin retaliating, and until we will bring a pain to the West, they're not gonna de-escalate, man. I'm sorry to say it, but that's how it is, man. Until we don't bring the pain to the West, they're not gonna stop bringing pain to us. That's it. Thank you very much, Alexander, for your donation. And so I will scroll a bit now through chat. If I see, I mean, dear friends, if you want to support, you can do it. Links are on this video in the description box. PayPal, Boosty. You can subscribe to my Patreon and Boosty, by the way. That would be a great support too, of course. And during the live stream, right now, you can use this super chat feature on Rumble to highlight question and donate simultaneously. You can become premium subscriber on Rumble. Brolin is commenting. Larry Johnson, retired CIA analyst. I know, Larry. No, not personally, but I know who you're talking about. CIA analyst, by the way, has spent the last 2 weeks in Moscow talking with Russian government officials. He says that he was told that Putin and Trump are talking a lot in the back channels. Okay. It does not matter, man. The US is controlled by these small groups of interests, and Trump acts under their orders. Trump does not care about American people, has no care about interests of the American people. This is just too obvious. I don't think I have to explain anything really. And I really hope Russian president will stop wasting time talking to anybody from US leadership, man. Back channel communication is necessary just to make sure that we're not going to nuke each other by some human error, right? So back channels of communication is good, but I think Russian officials should stop wasting time, high-ranking officials at least, right? It's a useless stuff, man. Alexander G is commenting. Totally agree, one. deterrence must be established, and yes, otherwise they're gonna continue. How long are we gonna take this nonsense, man? We know our people being killed by Brits, right? By Americans, Germans, French. We know this, right? These long range attacks on Russia, these all weapons that being sent, money, all of this is coming from the West. We know who our enemy is. And I'm talking about elites, of course, and their intelligence and militaries, by the way. I'm never hostile towards ordinary people. Although, let's be real here, until we bring pain to ordinary people too now, those people would not wake up. Yet again, I'm very sorry to say so. Very sorry to say, but we have to wake up people in the West, man, majority. And the only way we can stimulate this is to bring the pain to them, right? One way or another, but we have to do this. That's how it is, man, because no, why should only us feel pain, man? Let them feel pain too, right? And then maybe they will influence their own governments, then say, you know what, enough is enough. We don't want to be in war with Russia. Right now, Western societies, they're just chilling, right? They are chilling, man. They don't give a damn about crimes that their governments are committing against Russia. They just don't care, man. They watch their freaking TV shows, eat their burgers, and that's it, man. So deterrence has to be established, 100%, man. Jethro is commenting. Kirill made some good statements. Yes, I saw some short videos. It is good, of course, that at least American society, is ordinary people, by the way, have heard some information from Russian perspective, right? So it's a good. So in that sense, okay, he's done a good job. But in terms of normalizing relationships between Washington and Moscow, I don't think he will succeed, man, in any way, shape, or form. It's just not possible, right? It's just not possible, man. Let's not lie to ourselves. Trump and his inner circle, these are talking heads of neocons, deep state, military-industrial complex, globalists, Zionists, whomever, but they are not representing American people. They don't care about American people, man. U.S. political class is such. They are keeping government shut for 24 days. Does it look like they care about people, man? Come on now. Does it look like they care about people? So therefore, there is not even a slight chance that Kirill Dmitriev will succeed bringing closer Moscow and Washington politically, right? Or to bring the escalation closer between the two. I would love to see the escalation, but I'm realist, man. I'm not going to lie to myself, right? And I'm not going to lie to nobody. He would not succeed. Russian president would not succeed in his attempts to somehow build a bridge with Washington and then, persuade U.S. leadership to pull out this country from this proxy war. He would not succeed in that. He will fail. Unfortunately, but he will fail, man. Although on other hand, yes, Kirill Dmitriev makes some interesting statements there, informed some certain public of channels that he or the newspapers that he spoke to. Okay. Um, Nikos is asking, Luana, you are asking for deterrence, but drone operators and operations are spread throughout Europe. I don't think it's possible for Russia to find them all. You mean drone assembly lines are spread all over the Europe? Yes, they are, but you know what? I don't think Russia. It is that secret. You don't have to obliterate. Let's say this way: you don't have to obliterate entire freaking military-industrial complex of Germany, France, UK, or US. Man, one strike, single strike, will be enough. Demonstration that, well, we are serious now, right? Just a demonstration, by the way, will do the job. You know, everyone knows there is a massive hub, logistical hub in Romania and also in Poland, right? That is actively used to transfer weapons to Kiev controlled territory. Those hubs can be obliterated easy, right? Moscow can issue like 30 minutes warning so that enemies can evacuate their personnel from those bases and then strike. 30 minutes warning, I think, is generous enough, right? And then strike. Obliterate those two hubs. There is also a major hub in Germany. We all know this. There is a major hub in Netherlands, right? We all know this. By the way, we know where UK's main naval bases are, right? It's not a secret. And I'm quite sure Russia is tracking in real time movement of British Vanguard class nuclear submarines. I have no doubts Russia is tracking in real time those Vanguard class submarines. Two is always stationed, usually two is always stationed in, I don't know where they are stationed, in Norfolk or whatever. Who cares? Russian intelligence knows where they are. And two is at seas, right? And I'm quite sure Russia is tracking in real time movements of those subs. Russia is tracking in real time movements of French nuclear submarines and French nuclear aircraft carrier. Because France also has an air component of its nuclear forces, I'm quite sure Russia is also tracking French airfields and bases where nuclear weapons are, right? And this is happening in real time. It takes 30 minutes, by the way. And neither France, neither UK have nuclear weapons no more, right? Nuclear capabilities. I think Russia has to do it, man. I think Russia has to do it. And I don't think US will retaliate on Russia. I really don't think US will retaliate because that would be end of everyone and everything, right? So let's demonstrate the force, by the way. Let's show our enemies that we are not you cannot mess around us, man. You cannot mess with us. It will be painful. So let's bring the pain to them, man, to enemies. That's what am I talking about. Russia can do this, man. And if you think that, well, if you take out British and French these nuclear forces and if you obliterate some logistical hubs here and there, US will retaliate on you. No, they will not retaliate, man. They will make some crazy statements, this and that. They will not retaliate because they will all die in that case. You know, I'm ready to die, man. I'm ready to die today. You know, are they ready to die? I don't give a fuck about this life whatsoever. Only reason I'm still here is to be as useful to my family as I possibly can, right? And my family, my kids, and potentially their kids can be happy if Russia is safe and secure, right? So if Russia is not safe and secure, if Russia is destroyed, then what the hell, man? What the hell we are doing? My calculus is very simple. Let's not allow our enemies to jeopardize safety and security and future of our kids. And I said many times before, horrible end is better than unending horror. So you know what? Let's do the job, man. Let's do it. So it's a demonstration. It's you don't have to obliterate all their factories and all their military bases. All you need to do, all Russia needs to do, is to take out certain capabilities. That will change history forever, man. Right? We will finally put European aristocracies, the scum of humanity, by the way, the scumbags, into their places. Right? They were terrorizing humanity for far too long. For far too long, man. And we have to neutralize them. That's it. And I don't think US will retaliate on Russia. No, man. Probably US political class will be even happy if we will neutralize France and UK. Their military capabilities, first of all, nuclear capabilities. Rest is just easy stuff. Let's continue. Almost 2 hours, isn't it? Let me scroll, dear friends, if I see question. I see question. If not, USA can't even make weapons without the Chinese minerals. Alexander G is commenting, and this is true. This is true. The US is a superpower on the paper, by the way. They still have a lot of nukes, though. That's the only reason why US is among superpowers. Otherwise, take a look at their infrastructure in US, man. Some states in US already look like some, I don't know, third world countries, man. Third world countries. You go there. I mean, there is a lot of videos, isn't it, on internet? Everyone can check, man. It's like I don't know, man. It's like post-apocalyptic sceneries, right? And some major places I'm talking about. So only reason why US is still somewhat relevant on geopolitical scale because of nukes. That's it, man. And the only way US can maintain somewhat relevance on geopolitical scale if Washington will cooperate with Russia, but with Moscow, but this is not going to happen, man. US will go down together with Europe, right? All these attempts of Russian leadership to bring some sense into freaking heads, into brains of the Trump and his administration will not work because they are controlled by these other groups of interests, right? That's it, man. We cannot lie to ourselves. Trump is a puppet of Zionists, first of all, by the way, right? First of all, man. This Mendelssohn or whatever their freaking name is of those criminals, they are financing him for hundreds of millions of dollars for a reason, right? Not because of his freaking orange view or orange look, but for a reason. And there is a military industrial complex, deep state, MIP state, globalists, man. Trump is anything but representative of American people, man. So therefore, you cannot have no agreement with him. It will make more sense if Russian side will talk to Raytheon boss, right? Or to boss of Boeing and Lockheed Martin and that kind of stuff, right? Or even with those Meldensouls, man, or Israeli lobby. That will make more sense because they can influence actually Trump. But Dmitriev went to US. He will have a talk with Witkov. And what? And what, man? And what? Nothing, literally nothing, right? So we should stop playing these games, man. Yes, I can understand Putin wants to avoid somehow like strong steps to be taken because that's how he operates, right? He wants to avoid escalation as much as possible. Okay, I get that, but it does not work. This strategy is not working, man. And one day, how longer and how many experiments he gonna make until he will understand that, well, this is not working, man, right? Joe Fimner is saying you're being openly genocidal again, Levan. How am I openly genocidal? How? If I say I want my enemies to be exterminated, then that's what, genocidal? No, man. I want my enemies to be exterminated, of course. What the hell, man? And my enemies want all of us to be exterminated. And that's how life works, man. Let's be real here, right? And when I say we have to bring pain to the West, that's the only way we can force them to de-escalate. I don't wish extermination to ordinary people anywhere, right? I'm not talking about harming innocent. Never did. So let's not, mix up stuff here. Oh, that's what you are talking about. Geo Fimilner is accused the others, Israelis, of genocide when wanting to genocide them, and Austrian painter joined their forces with the Muslims to do that as well. Are you a Nazi as well? Did you forget Beslan? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Israelis are fascists. Don't you understand that? Majority of modern Israelis are fascists, literally fascists. Don't take my word for that, or go and watch videos of Gray Zone guys. They do a great job, man. And Aaron Matter and Max Blumenthal, quite often were sharing data on some social studies that was conducted in Israel. And I don't know if you have paid attention to or not, but majority, in some cases, vast majority of Israelis, and notice, by the way, I'm talking about Israelis, I'm not talking about Jewish people, right? Israelis, majority of Israelis were up in absolute support, complete support of everything that IDF was doing. Is that a fascist enough for you? No? So they are fascists. When I say majority are fascists, my statement is based on data, right? That comes from Israel itself. So they are freaking fascists, man. And the only way you can treat fascists is either neutralize or forced to undergo programs of denazification. That's what happened with the Nazi Germany. You think what happened to Nazi Germans after war ended? Millions of Germans, millions of these Germans that were indoctrinated in this fascist ideology went through denazification programs, millions of them, right? And in some cases, it was mandatory for Germans to go to those concentration camps to see horrors, that they were doing to other peoples, not just Jewish people, but to Soviet people, to all the others, by the way. Right? This is the only way you can deal effectively with the fascists and the Nazis. It is what it is, man. What are you talking about? Israelis are fascists and they are committing crime against humanity. Period, man. There is nothing to discuss there. What the fuck? Really? And I'm sick and tired of this tricks that these Israeli fascists are using, that if you say something, then you are anti-Semite. You know what? Fucking ball, man. Right? They are not even Semites, man. They are not even Semites. How you can be anti-Semite if you have no hate towards Semitic people? And why? How come that it's only if you criticize Israel and their crimes, you are anti-Semite? Don't people understand that Arab people are Semites too, right? And how can Arab people be anti-Semite then? Do Arab people hate themselves? So I'm not playing no games, man. Modern Israelis are fascists, majority of them. That's it, man. And they have to pay for the crimes that they committed against humanity. And I don't care, man. Those innocent civilians that are being killed and suffered due to criminal actions of the Israel, this fascist entity, were Muslims, Christians, or whomever, Buddhists, by the way. They were people, first of all, innocent people. That's what matters, man. No, religion of other people is not my freaking business. I just don't care, man. As my religion is my business, and no one has no right to say anything. It's a people, lives of people that we should care, right? And by the way, if you think these fascist Israelis don't kill Christians, I mean, just read them, read their more, learn more, and you will understand how Christians are treated by these fascist Israelis, man. You probably will be, shocked, I guess. And I don't have no issue with no religion, by the way. There is some extremist groups that call themselves Christians that say, you know what, how you can criticize this Israel and be supportive of Muslims in Palestine. It's a humans, man. I don't give a damn about religion of the people. It's not my business, man. It's a people that matters. Unbelievable, man. Svetlana Vladimirovna is commenting, Nolevan, Alexander first declared the war on Napoleon. Our foolish Venal Tsar sacrificed many Russian lives and took masses of cash from the Anglo-Saxons for his efforts. Well, he was supporting his cousin, right? British or English king was his cousin, isn't it? And he was, yes, he was supporting him, times supporting, times not, right? And that's what, allegedly, that's what irritated Napoleon, right? That was Russia refused to participate in blockade and to cut trade and that kind of stuff, right? But nevertheless, it was Napoleon that come after Russia. It's Napoleon that launched his freaking armies against Russia, isn't it? And that was his fatal mistake. But as you, Svetlana, I also don't like the fact that yes, Russian leadership at the time was acting in support of English royals, English aristocracy. That's just factual, right? And yet again, I believe, if I remember correctly, Russian Tsar and the King of England, they were cousins. So, as it was case in many other instances, by the way, these royals, they all are right related, isn't it? Most of them, maybe not all, but most of them. So yes, I see your point there, but nevertheless, it was Napoleon that launched these armies against Russia. He should not, man. He should focus on Europe, right? And never moved against Russia, no matter what. And Europe would be very different in that case. All these European aristocracies would not exist by now if Napoleon did not make that fatal mistake and did not move against Russia. Although he made then he made quite a lot of mistakes, by the way. Formally, he was for Republic, right? And he himself become emperor. What the hell, So, I hate the fact that since Peter the Great, basically, some might argue even before that, right? Like since the Urics, basically, first royal families. Among elites, there was always amongst some quite big groups of these elites, right? There was always this strange attitude, unhealthy attitude towards the West, right? As if they were seeking some approval from their Western elites or something, right? Probably Russian elites did have some complex of, I don't know, комплекс неполноценности какой-то, блин, да? They were seeking some acceptance from their Western elites, which I don't know, man, which was truly unhealthy stuff. And this is still the case. I mean, even nowadays, among elites, you will find quite many that, for whatever reason, are pro-Westerner, one may say, are seeking, approval from the Western elites and good relationships and stuff like that, right? This is some sort of a complexes, by the way. I would never ever consider Western so-called elites to be decent enough human beings to shake their hand with them. I think English king is a scum of humanity, man. Despicable scum of humanity, man. I wouldn't shake hand with that freaking pig, man, right? And I have same attitude towards the entire freaking Western elite, man. They are freaking nobodies, right? Freaking nobodies, man. But for whatever reason, these so-called elites in Russia were some groups, not all, but some groups did have this unhealthy, like, I don't know, man, attitude that, they have to be accepted by those Western elites. They have to have like closer ties and this and that. What the hell, man? I don't know why, man. I don't know. For me personally, Western elites are garbage, right? Scum of humanity. They are not on the same level as I am, by the way, never will be, right? Because, I don't want to further elaborate on that, but, I'm Georgian Ossetian, man. I'm descendant of Alans, right? Scytho-Sarmatians, Aryans, true Aryans, man. For me, European elites are just scum, man. That's it, right? Let's be real here. They are nobodies, literally nobodies, man. To me, personally, I have never respected. I can and will always respect good people, man, good human beings. But these so-called elites in the West that think that they are any better than us, ordinary people, just because they are some kings and princes and some parts of aristocracy of the Western world or European world. Come on, man. 200 years ago, London was drowning in a human feces, man. Some 150, 200 years ago, London was drowning in human feces, right? And French were good in toilet water. Why? Because they were stinking, man. They were dirty as fuck, man. They didn't wash themselves for months and months on end, man. And they think they are some sort of a class. Holy shit, man. Some people may don't even know, by the way, that London was freaking drowning in a human feces just recently. This is recent history, man. And these dirty fucks think they are pinnacle of the humanity, man. Come on now. And some elites, so-called elites in Russian aristocracy, so-called, and they were seeking freaking acceptance from these dirty scum, man, that European elites were and are, so-called elites. Unbelievable, man. Anyways, it's more than 2 hours now, more than 2 hours. So I guess it is time to end the live stream on that. We had a good conversation, isn't it? Good, real, honest conversation, by the way, about different stuff here. And so I see a question from Ramplancer01. Levan, did you have a chance to listen to Dr. Dovtorov with the channel Davis saying Putin is weak and they will take him out? Well, it's Doctor, isn't it? I saw he was on Daniel Davis's show yesterday channel. Daniel Davis was not hosting. His colleague was hosting. Unfortunately, I don't know the name of that other guy. He's also former military, I think. But anyways, yes, I saw some fragments. And, well, what can I say? He is in St. Petersburg, by the way, right now. And he's quite critical. If you notice, he's quite critical of Russian leadership, policies, these restraint policies, especially. And yes, I have listened to him. On some points, I can understand he's coming from, but on some others, I don't. When lately, I mean, it has become a thing, sort of, especially in alternative media, maybe even Western MSM, partially, that Putin is too weak. Some palace revolution or palace coup might take place, and Putin might be forced out and stuff like that. I don't believe in any of it, dear friends. I don't believe in any of it. Russian president has his vision. We might agree with him or disagree with policies, including this restraint policy, right? But this restraint policy is not some sort of a caprice, by the way. He has a plan and he is working based on this plan, right? He is the president. Russian people voted for him to be in charge and to make these extremely difficult decisions that he has to make, right? And therefore, no one, by the way, no one, I don't give a damn, man. We agree with Putin or disagree, or who cares, man? He is a president. He has a legitimacy. He has mandate from the people of Russia to be in charge and to make decisions that he thinks is correct. So we might disagree with him all day long, by the way. It does not matter. And therefore, no one will dare, and no one should dare, by the way, to do anything unconstitutional, by the way, right? I may not be biggest Putin supporter, by the way, but I will never, ever support any illegal step being taken here in Russia. We don't need no freaking revolutions, man, and stuff like that. So I don't believe personally. I live in Russia here. I talk to ordinary people, like as I am, by the way. With whom else I will talk, right? And I never hear, by the way, any talks about, some Putin has to be removed or revolution should happen or a crazy talk like that. No, this is not even a conversation here, right? This is just not a conversation. Do people say that this restraint policy is not really working? Do people are critical about this restraint policy? Yes, quite a few, right? I cannot say majority, minority, but yes, in my circle with people that I talk, yes, this opinion is dominant, that this restraint policy is not working. But yet again, we only know what we know from open sources. Putin knows everything else, not just what we know, but also what we will never know. That is classified information, and therefore, if we don't understand some of his policies right now, it's okay, man. We just don't know stuff. He knows, and I believe that Russian people know better. And if Russian people give the mandate to Russian president, Russian people trust in Russian president, and he will do whatever is good, by the way. Just because we don't understand something does not mean that we have to go crazy and support some crazy ideas or act irresponsible. No, man. We should try to learn a little better, and maybe we will understand a little better in that case. But this is not a topic here, man. No one gonna mess with the constitutional system here in Russia. No one gonna remove Putin from nowhere. He will leave his position as a president of Russia when his term is ended or when he will decide. He can decide right now that he wants to go, and resign. We don't know, isn't it? And I think once we will finalize victory over this evil force that Western elites are, Putin might actually say, you know what, I done best I could for you guys. He might address the people of Russia and say that he tried and did whatever he could to be useful for people and the country, and he has to resign now. He just needs some rest, right? And I think he might do it, man. Once Russia will finalize victory over this evil force that Western elites are, and this day is coming. We will finalize and formalize victory soon, right? And after that, Putin might say, "Yes, I had enough, guys. Thank you all for your attention, but I need to have some rest now." And in that case, he will present to public, maybe even before he will resign, right? He will present to public someone that he thinks will be a good replacement, right? Good successor. And then election is going to take place and people will decide. But I don't trust in this stuff that is being somewhat discussed in alternative media and also kind of pushed over the public that Putin gonna be removed or some or Putin is weak and some stuff might happen in palace revolution and that kind of stuff. I just don't believe in that, man. And I live here in Russia, and I just don't see situation like that. I know Dr. is also in St. Petersburg, right? And as I said, he has some points that I can see he's coming from, absolutely. But on the topic of someone or some groups are messing around and creating instability in Russia, no, man, no. I don't believe in that. And I think Russian security services are working and doing good job to make sure that society and the country is as safe as it can be, right? And if anyone will even think about doing some crazy stuff, security services will, take the action. That's how it's have to be and will be. And dear friends, there was a donation right now from Patrick on PayPal. Thank you very much, Patrick, for a $25 donation. I appreciate your support. Thank you very much. There is no comment to highlight donation. So thank you very much, Patrick, for $25 donation through PayPal. So that's my answer. Ramplins, I don't see such things happening, man. Like come on. Geo from Milner is commenting, your Muslim, Indian, and African friends are bringing us pain in the UK, Levan, all facilitated by the retarded left. Well, let's not generalize, Geoff or Geoff. Let's not generalize, right? Just because some criminals are coming from certain places does not mean that people in those places are the same, right? So let's not generalize. And then, secondly, Geoff, does UK has anything to do with their destabilization or poverty or destruction in the countries or the regions that you mentioned? Does UK has anything to do with it? It does, right? It does. India, I don't know if you know, but I believe my data is correct on that. India was the third country in this world by GDP before England colonized it, right? And when England left, India was one of the poorest countries in this world. And India, when I say India, I mean whole of India, from Bangladesh to Pakistan, right? All of it. These countries, this Pakistan division of India is also English creation, by the way, right? So that's when it comes to India, for example, or Pakistan, or Bangladesh, by the way. It's England did messed up lives of those people, their ancestors, right? And since then, these countries, these peoples still are struggling to nowadays to normalize the livelihood. So maybe England is paying price for all the horrible crimes that it has committed against other peoples. What about English crimes that England committed in Middle East? What about crimes that England committed in African continent? I mean, When you are talking about some atrocities and crimes, there is very few countries that can stand next to England, man. Let's be real here. Just, you cannot go around and mess the lives of their millions of people for centuries without facing consequences. It's just simple true, right? And you are now facing the consequences of the criminal actions of your government, current government, previous governments, and so on, right? Same can be said about other European countries. Same can be said about other European countries too. Collective West went on a killing spree all over the world, right? For last 300 to 500 years, man. And you were, how anybody would think in the West that they can go rob everyone, kill everyone, and they will face no consequences. They will be immune from any potential, negative consequences for that. No, they were not immune, and they will face the consequences. As this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning of consequences that Western world will face due to their criminal actions for decades and decades and centuries, even, by the way, right? So it is what it is, man. I absolutely feel for ordinary people, right? I feel for ordinary people, by the way, of England too. I lived there, by the way, and I only have good memories. So I personally don't have nothing against Anglo-Saxons, but my wife is Anglo-Saxon, for God's sake, right? Partially Anglo-Saxon. So I have nothing against Anglo-Saxons but love and respect. But it does not mean that we can just close our eyes on the crimes of elites of Anglo-Saxons, right? Or elites of other European influential groups that went all over the world, robbed almost everyone, kill millions and millions, right? And why should you expect that you would not face consequence? So it's not the Muslims, by the way, not the Indians or Africans. It's your past that is hunting you now. Generally speaking, it's a past of UK that hunts it back, right? Because I believe criminals, by the way, have no faith, have no ethnicity. That's my attitude. Criminals don't have no race, no faith, no ethnicity, nothing. Criminals are criminals. And there you have no any less English or Scottish or Welsh criminals than from India or Pakistan, for example, right? I think so. Criminals don't have, criminals are criminals. That's it, man. And we should never generalize, My Muslim friends, my Indian friends, my African friends did not do nothing bad for you because I don't have criminal friends. I don't. And my friends, my Muslim friends and Indian friends and African friends are all very decent people and will do no harm to no one, man, for no reason. That's my answer on that. I'm scrolling now, dear friends. Don't think there is error in the internet. No, I was just scrolling, reading the comments here. So and there, I see some comments are critical of my takes. It's all good, by the way. We don't have to agree on everything or anything whatsoever. We here to exchange opinions freely, right? And as long as the opinion is expressed with uh, respect to counterpart, it's all good, by the way. And when we can say anything, as I always say, by the way, we can criticize politicians, public figures any way we want. You can use any language, by the way, towards them, right? I will have no issue with that. I will not react on that. But with each other, we should always be polite, because we are ordinary people, really. I mean, right? We are not enemies, and we should not treat each other as such. So Nitish Kumar is commenting, Levan, I think Reliance stop the purchasing Russian oil, not state refiners in India. I think they are not going to stop. I don't know, Nitish. Yet again, I mean, as I said, it is very difficult to be angry that even if India will stop buying oil, because I understand they've been pressurized big time, right? Uh, but there are so many media outlets, from Reuters to even Russian media is reporting that there might be some disruption in oil purchases from India. Trump said so many times that he's being promised that towards the end of this year, India will just cut completely purchases of Russian oil. That this might happen, and okay, I mean, okay, China will buy it. The Chinese companies will buy it. Oil not gonna be lost, right? Someone will buy it anyways, because this is oil we're talking about. This is gold, right? Черное золото, as some say, black gold, right? So someone will buy it. But if India bows down to Anglo-Saxon elites now, then how many other times New Delhi will be forced to bow down? That's why I'm saying consequences will be long lasting. That's how it is. But we will see. We will see. We will see. Right now, I believe before mid January, mid December, already there is purchases of Russian oil, right, by Indian refineries until mid December, and these refineries will receive this purchased oil, right, after mid December. Let's see. Purchases usually happened for like several months earlier, so soon we will find out. But I think just too many outlets are reporting. I think too many reports are about, that India will cut. And also Nidish is commenting, Levan, I think our intelligence, our intelligence agency took out CIA operative in Dhaka. He's an expert in the color revolutions. Yeah, I have read the story. I know what you are talking about. I have read the story about it. I did not highlight it in the news update, because it's all speculations, right? This CIA operative was found dead some 2 days before. Because 2 days before Modi Putin meeting in China, right? Am I remembering correctly? But I do know that some CIA operative was neutralized, and there is even speculations that Russia might be involved in that, or maybe Indians, maybe Indian secret services. India does has a quite powerful secret service, by the way, right? Quite capable one. Maybe not everyone knows about it, but the Indian secret services are quite good at what they do. So they might took out this criminal from CIA. In any case, good news, by the way. I mean, in any ways, more CIA operatives are killed, the better, I think. So yeah, that's my response on that. CIA operatives should afraid to left the house. All of them should afraid. From director of CIA to last freaking to someone that is working in the parking lot of CIA. All of them should be terrified for their lives, man. All of them are criminals, and they are part of terrorist organization, because CIA is the most powerful terrorist organization in this world, alongside the British MI6. I mean, you all know that, right? Bum, bum, bum. Michael Kennedy is commenting, Dr. lacks charisma. I watched him once only and I fell asleep. No, whenever he's, as you know, dear friends, I do watch, whenever I have a time, I do watch videos from, alternative media, especially. I do monitor even MSM, by the way, because I have to, right? That's, part of job. And I'm not critical of Doctor. He has his opinion, and as I said, I can understand some of his opinions. I might have different opinion on some others. He's a well-respected professor, right? And he's he is not enemy of Russia. Every time I listen to him, I did not get any impression that he is somehow hostile towards Russia. No, it's exactly the opposite. He has very warm feelings towards Russia, and they're positive, and he wants relationships between Russia and the West to be better, right? And therefore, because I don't see him as a hostile, I have no issue to whatever opinion he might have. I don't think his criticism is coming from a bad place, right? So therefore, I respect the man, and I respect the opinion of the person. Even if I don't understand some of his opinions, and even if I disagree, but I think he is a good man. He is not hostile towards Russia or Russian people, so therefore, I have no reason to be in any way, shape, or form negative towards him, right? And when it comes to charisma, I mean, this is news channels, right? These analytical programs, by the way, news programs, these are quite monotone stuff, isn't it? That's why some members of our community maybe like when I go when I go emotional, right? When I go off-road and act crazy, because it brings some dynamic to their programs. Although I myself hate when I'm emotional. So yeah, these programs, news programs, news talk shows, it's quite specific ones, right? And they're not easy to watch, not easy to digest, obviously, but I watched yesterday's interview, for example, of Doctor with with Daniel Davis's channel, with interest, with a great deal of interest, almost completely, almost completely. So, you know, I don't think I have any more charisma than Doctor has, for example. Yeah, I don't think I have any charisma at all, really. Uh, you know. So thank you for sharing. And so, yes, dear friends, I think we had a good conversation, isn't it? We can continue tomorrow. We can continue tomorrow, dear friends. I think tomorrow I will launch live stream around 3 p.m. Moscow time, and I will try my best to. I will try to my best to build to make for you prepare for your interesting news update first, and then let's have a conversation, community chat. So from now on, whenever I will have a live stream on Saturdays, that live stream will be community chat also. While on weekdays, as it is Sunday, but while weekdays, I will only react after new segment on questions that might come from support platforms, let's say. So tomorrow, big community chat, fundraising stream. Traditionally, it's a Sunday. Hopefully, many of you will join, dear friends. Tomorrow's live stream. I will go now. Thank you all for your time and attention. Have a wonderful day and take care. Bye for now.